Hello. So this is the start of a Let's Play for Signalis, which has quickly become my game of the year. Well, probably game of the next few years, probably. This is a survival horror game. It's a sci-fi game. It's a mix of a few different things, I think. We'll probably get into it as I play. But it plays a lot like one of the early Resident Evil games in terms of like the actual gameplay, like the mechanics. But then it does also borrow in terms of themes and stylistic choices. It borrows a lot from Silent Hill 2, I think mostly. There's a theme of us us being a loved one looking for someone we love. And it's sort of being a haunting tale because of that. Luckily we're not an arsehole like James Sunderland, so there is that. Spoilers. Yeah, I think there's a lot more going on than we actually see, or that we realise at first. So, again, it reminds me of Silent Hill 2 in that respect. Like, you're given hints about what's going on before you realise what's going on, but you don't really piece it together until you've played the game like at least once. And then every time you replay it, I'm presuming, because this is my second playthrough, it sort of builds up and you'll see the clues were always there. Like with Silent Hill 2, early on you find a mannequin with Mary's clothes on it, don't you? Yeah, I am sort of guessing there, to be honest. So this is actually where this is I think it's the Penrose is the name of the ship. This is where the demo took place, but there are no monsters in this version. So yeah, we have a pretty standard inventory system for a survival horror game. So I picked this up in the demo, but then for some reason when I played the game originally, like my first look at this room, I didn't pick up the tape for some reason. So that is us. We're Elster. And then Yong is the pilot. So we're an android essentially, like a replica of a real human being. I don't know how much I should spoil with this, but essentially they take an image of a person. They don't really, I don't think they know how they do it, but they copy that, like copy and paste it into these robots. It's sort of revealed later on that that causes issues, which we'll get into when closer later in the game. Feels like saying it right now would be a bit of a huge spoiler, but yeah, it causes issues with the replicas because they're basically copies of real people. And then we're assigned to an actual person who's a young. So we were exploring the galaxy and our ship has crashed somehow. don't think it's a big spoiler, but essentially it's more like a lore spoiler, isn't it? I think. But yeah, essentially, like, we're a citizen, or do they consider the replicas citizens? I'm not sure. We belong to this sort of authoritarian dictatorial regime that occupies, I think, a planet or a moon or a colony of some kind. And it has a small, like, area of controlling space. We've been sent out because they're at war with this larger empire that occupies another part of the same solar system. We've been sent out, I think, one of many ships in search of a new world to colonize, but it hasn't quite gone to plan. That different to the picture in the demo as well. So what we need to do is get off the ship. We need the key card for that. And we need the key card to get the spacesuit. I wonder why, like, an android needs a spacesuit. But then they are supposed to be, like, humanoid, aren't they? I'm reminded of, is it Paul from Alien Resurrection? Winona Ryder's character? There we are. We're part of the Usian People's Navy. Usian? Yeah, so essentially the human pilot controls the vessel, and we're sort of like the engineer, the backup that keeps everything running. Yeah, at the heart of it is quite a haunting love story, which again is something we'll get into later in the game as things progress. So wonder if there's. I wonder if we are supposed to believe we're 512. Like, are there other ships? Oh, okay. I thought maybe I got it wrong there, but no, we did. We did it. I said this in the demo, but I do really like the combination of like the top-down sections and then these first-person sections. It just, I don't know, it just adds another dimension to the game, I think. Actually makes me like, this is a bit of a tangent, but it makes me think of those old games where you get like say it was a platformer, but then you get a driving section and it'd be like over the shoulder of the car sort of thing. So it'd be like essentially a completely different game within the game. And it would sort of add an extra dimension to the game. But yeah, I played through this a few weeks ago, and like you do get the sense there's a lot more going on than you realise on the first playthrough. Like you get so much information that just flashes up on screen briefly and then disappears. The fact it's in German as well doesn't help. At least to me, as someone who doesn't read or speak German. So this is really important actually, this bit. You sort of, or at least when I played it originally, I just saw it as a gateway. You walk through it, then just get on with your day. But this is actually central to the story. And you notice as well that this looks like an eye, this area, like an eye with like eyelashes above it, doesn't it? And this sort of looks like an eye, but then also like some sort of a hole. The game is very obsessed with radio transmitters and radio transmissions. I love that we zoomed in for that. Oh, okay. This is something we come back to later in the game, actually, because one of the several recurring images in the game is this bit of coastland that you walk up, and then also that might be the island. Interesting. Yeah, like I said, like in terms of gameplay, it's very much like the original Resident Evil. But then in terms of like themes and the way it approaches the story, it's very much like Silent Hill 2. maybe 3 a bit. You know, like it's very indirect in the way it tells the story and explores its themes. I don't want to spoil it now, but I do think that cutscene makes a lot more sense having finished the game. Oh yeah, this is a Silent Hill 2 reference, isn't it? Looking to staring into a mirror, or starting the game staring into a mirror. Yeah, I'll have to try and remember it when we get to the point where it's explained later in the game, which is right near the end, so I probably will forget. But yeah, that cutscene does make a lot more sense, or like I can connect it to what comes up later in the game. Whereas when you start the game and see that, it just looks like a creepy cutscene. So another thing is like, how do we get here? Like we were in like an icy I'll say icy world and snowy plain. We were on a barren ice world anyway, weren't we? The ship had crashed, and suddenly we're back on like a colony planet because this is basically like where we came from. But how did we get here? Just something to think about. Hint, hint. Um, yeah, I do like the way the world is explored and built up in this. Actually, like we essentially live in like an authoritarian state, where police state sort of situation, where we can't be ourselves. We're told how we have to how we have to act or behave, how we have to act or behave, how to be good citizens. Sort of like, well, sort of like North Korea or want to say Cuba. I don't think it's as bad now, but like it's one of those states, one of those places where, or societies where you're told how to behave, and if you step out of line, um, you either get censured quite badly or you disappear. And as you play, the game slowly explores that in really interesting ways, but sort of indirectly. That like you pick up a lot of notes that just seem to imply what's going on. I think it's interesting as well that like the cameras watch you. The surveillance camera. But then you never get an explanation. Well, you kind of do get an explanation that it's Adler. You never get a clear explanation why, because like the whole colony is in ruin. Yeah, it also reminds me of Paul from Alien Resurrection a lot. So this thin, gaunt human figure, almost human figure, designed to serve in the same capacity as a human would, but with less of the frailties of a person. Yeah, stuff like this, the propaganda posters, there's quite a few of these, is another way the game sets the tone. It's interesting to realise most of the game Sorry, looking at this. It's interesting to realise that most of the game is actually based around us just finding the administrator's key. Like, I think a good 2/3 of it. But indirectly, because we don't do that for most of the game. But I realise now that she said that, like for much of the game, it's leading up to the point where you get the administrator's key and then go into the mine shaft. So essentially, what we realise is the person, in inverted commas, we just met is another android, a different model of android to us. We're essentially like an explorer android. There's a series of different androids with different roles, like the Yule. I think this one's a Yule. That was a star. The Yule is like the basic everyday unit, like it does all the menial tasks, like it's a kitchen worker, it's a cleaner, etc. The star, I think, is like a security bot. Then you have like a regular everyday security bot. Then you have like tougher units and like actual soldier units. So yeah, there you go. Obscenity to the state. Everything is about control. Yeah, everything is about control and oversight. There. So those are the enemies you'll see the most in the game. Oh, okay, is that... Yeah, okay, we need to get there, don't we? Those are the enemies you'll see the most in the game, with just like hatchets. Okay, this is Isa. Isa. I really like her as a character. I think she's the only actual human we meet as well. So essentially, she's looking for her sister. Two A 4 5 1 2. So we'll just go here and get the goodies and then come back and save. That was just a key card, okay. Or was that a poster, actually? Did I look at that one? Okay, we'll save here.